Greetings and salutations, people of the internet. I'm Eviscerator Mark II, and welcome to Neon Chrome and a review of the GameSir G4S. I can't exactly do a camera on the controller, so most of this is just going to be me describing the issues and positives of it. But you probably know what it looks like. I probably have it in the thumbnail, and that's exactly what the controller looks like. But yeah, GameSir G4S. What do I think of it? Well, let's get over the positives. It's probably one of the most comfortable controllers I've ever held because of these rubberized grips. They're pretty comfortable to hold, and they allow it to stick to your hands. Though that's never really an issue with controllers, to be honest. It's also a little heavier than the standard controller, but that's because it's also a bit more well-built. It's a lot sturdier than the standard controller. An issue with my Xbox One controller that I always had was that it felt like it seemed like it was gonna fall apart at any moment, but this doesn't really have that issue. Even then, that was just like a minor issue at best. The Xbox One controller basically was perfect in my eyes, except for that one small issue. And all the buttons are fine. It's the same Xbox layout you're used to, so the YXBA is above the right stick and the D-pad is below the left stick. You got your start and select. They're in a bit of an odder position than the other one and a little harder to push down than on a normal controller, but that's semi-fine. As for, let's see, the left bumper, left trigger, right trigger, or as in this case with this controller, it's L1, L2, R1, R2 for some reason. They all more or less work as intended. No real issues there. They're all comfortable and they work as intended. They're not as good as, say, the 360 or the Xbox One's triggers and bumpers, but they do their job and they work just fine. Now the D-pad. The D-pad is where I have major issues with this controller. The D-pad is your standard floating D-pad that you may have seen on the 360 controller, and before that, any Sega pads in the original Xbox controller. The only major issue with it in comparison to those is that the D-pad is uncomfortable to use for long periods of time because it's hard to push in for long periods of time. Which may not seem like an issue which may not seem like such a massive issue because you're probably like, you don't use D-pads for a long period of time. Well, if you're playing 2D platformers and what this controller was intended for, which was mobile games, because this is a mobile game pad, specifically. It's made for mobile gaming, and a lot of mobile games that would really benefit from a controller would be 2D platformers, and if you're playing 2D platformers with this D-pad, it's very uncomfortable to do for a long period of time. So, yeah, GameSir has other pads, but they aren't as, I guess, nicely designed, but they would be better for mobile gaming in general. So, yeah. And continuing with issues, the left stick and the right stick. So right now I'm turning the left stick in a perfect circle, about the same speed each way. What you might notice here, though, is it doesn't exactly look like I'm moving in a circle. It looks more ovalish, squarish, kind of. Like a rounded edge square. That's because there's a weird issue with the corners where it seems to snap in the corners. The right stick also has the same issue, so if I start turning the right stick, I'll be turning it really slow. You might notice that it snaps when it reaches the corners, which is very strange. Like, why? It's terrible design. It is a really bad design, especially for a game like this when you want to aim. So say if someone is standing in between the laser, where the laser is, you'd have to move down to be able to shoot them, you know? So, yeah, that's not very good, and it really shows in this game when I was playing it, which I would do, but that seems to cause audio issues when I'm recording, so let's not run around for now. I'll just show it off here. But yeah, as you can see, it snaps the corners, and that's not very good. That really can screw you over. Continuing with issues with the right stick, right now it's aiming left. I'm actually pushing the right stick slightly to the right. One of the advertised features of this is that there's no dead zone. But the dead zone on this controller is pretty large. I'll start moving it slowly to the left, like a little bit every second. so you'll see what I mean. So, it's like, I have it about 40% of the way now. Looking at it, it's like about 40% of the way, and it takes about 40% to be able to make it move. Sometimes it takes a little more around the top and the bottom. It might not make much of a difference in a game like this when you have the analog stick almost always pushed to the top, so dead zones don't matter. But if you're playing a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter, you really notice the dead zone. I was playing Portal 2, for example, a game I have absolutely no issues playing on my Xbox One pad, which is broken now. I could not play it with the GameSir G4S. It was unplayable. It was massively unplayable, because I couldn't aim at anything while I was falling with the controller, because this dead zone was screwing up my aim completely. So, yeah. A lot of the stuff that this controller is advertised for, it doesn't do very well over other gamepads. And with that, I would, if you want to get a mobile gamepad, if you already have a PS4 or PS3 controller, find a clamp. Those, apparently most mobile games support those just fine, so just find one of those clamps, those metal clamps. They're like $5, $10. You just buy that, stick it to your controller, stick your phone onto it, and voila, you have a mobile controller. Xbox One also has Bluetooth, but not many games support the Xbox One's Bluetooth, so yeah. And if you want a PC gamepad, just buy an Xbox One controller. Everything supports it, and it doesn't have any of the issues. Speaking of, one issue I didn't mention is if you're playing in the wireless mode, which right now I'm doing the wired mode to show it off to the best of its ability. If you're playing in the wireless mode, sometimes games seem to drop inputs from it, don't accept any inputs. Like, maybe I'm just, for example, it might not accept the YXBA, which got me killed in a few games, like Sarah, for example, because it wasn't accepting inputs from the YXBA, and I couldn't get away from enemies, and I couldn't shoot enemies either, so they ended up killing me multiple times, until I plugged it in, then everything was fine. But yeah, again, if you want a mobile gamepad, find another GameSir gamepad, or get they're a lot cheaper than this. This one's like $50 or $40. Other GameSir pads around $30, $20. So yeah, just get another GameSir pad, or if you have a PS4 controller, just buy one of those clamps for it. And if you want a PC pad, buy an Xbox One controller. It's the same price, and you get a superior controller. It's like, you don't really... It's like, why spend $50 on a controller if it's only fancy and not not practical? Because this controller isn't very practical for a lot of what you may want to do with it on PC. Buy an Xbox One controller, buy a Steam controller, don't buy this for PC. When it comes to mobile gaming, buy another GameSir pad or get a clamp for the PS4 controller. And that's all I really have to say on this. I've been Eviscerator Mark II. This has been Neon Chrome and a GameSir G4S review. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, dislike if you didn't, comment down below what you think. Maybe you own the GameSir G4S, maybe you've had different experiences with it. Tell me, I want to hear. Maybe I got a defective one. Who knows with these third-party pads. But yeah, comment down below, share the video, favorite it, whatever. Just follow my Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube. All of these things and none of the above and all of the above. All these words that I always say and I never really know what I'm saying. But yeah, again, Eviscerator Mark II, Neon Chrome, GameSir G4S review. Have a nice day.